Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel today. We are going to be playing with the Natasha Denona Retro Midi Palette. I'm excited for this one. I knew pretty much instantly when I saw the shades that were inside that I was going to be getting it. My Natasha Denona order was supposed to get here on the Friday before the holiday, and it was not. I got an email, a very sad email saying like, we're not sure about your package. Status is unknown. You'll get it when you get it. And it was funny because I saw that Samantha March kind of said the same thing. So in my mind's eye, our palettes were just off having a like hurricane hideout together. So that's what I'm gonna roll with. But at any rate, I finally have it now. Side note, I did decide to also pick up the mini because, you know, you gotta keep the family together. But today we are going to be going through with this palette. I am going to swatch all of this. I will do 2 looks for you. We'll chat about the pros and cons of this palette. Now, straight up, this is definitely more of a first impressions video. I have not even dipped my fingers into this yet. I literally just opened this up today, but I am very familiar with the Natasha Denona formula. I have quite a few palettes, not as many as some, but I do have quite a few, and I feel like I can definitely tell you how this stacks up next to other Natasha Denonas and how it stacks up to other shadow formulas that I love. Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly, and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Okay, I've been waiting patiently to dive into this baby. Let's get into it. Okay, so just some deets before we dive in. This palette is $65. This is one of Natasha's midi-sized palettes. I actually did get this again on the Natasha Denona website, and I decided to get also the little mini because she had a set. It was like the mother mini set, and the set was $76 at a $90 value. So you were able to get the little mini palette at a discount, and I can already tell I'm gonna enjoy playing this one, but that's for another time. Now, just like all of the other midi palettes, this does have 15 shades. I'm going to try not to blind you here. This is always kind of heartbreaking because like I have to basically stick my fingers on the mirror and then like it's not flawless anymore. But like I said, I knew right away that I was probably gonna snag this one for a couple of reasons. A, the color story. If you know me, you know that I love a good berry, rosy, mauvey moment. And that's exactly what is here. I love this. I love that you have some burgundies. You've got a couple taupey shades. It's like the perfect fall romantic vibes palette. I'm digging it. Now, the other reason I wanted to snag this palette is because I saw it had quite a few creamy matte shades. And I will be honest, to me, that is where the value in the Natasha Denona palettes lies, is actually within her mattes. Her shimmers are pretty, do not get me wrong, but especially after diving into the world of indie makeup over the last like year and a half, 2 years, I just feel like there are shimmers that are just as good, if not better, than the Natasha Denona formula. I'm sorry if I just made you mad and you need to click off of this video. I apologize, but that is just my opinion. I do think it's a beautiful formula, but I feel like the mattes are just where it's at. They like blend themselves. They're so beautiful, so buttery. I am really looking forward to trying all these out. I'm hoping that they live up to my expectations. Now, just a couple things to note. The shade names and their formula are on the back of the box. However, they are not on the back of the palette. You do, of course, have the shade names inside the palette, but you don't know what formulas they are. And I mean, some of these are pretty obvious, but the difference between the cream to powder and creamy mattes, you might not know. In fact, you might not know what the hell the difference is between all of those anyway, especially if you are just now diving into the world of Natasha Denona makeup. And that is something that kind of bugs me because I had to really search to find details on what Natasha describes these formulas as. And you can see the notations on here. You can see Glitz is DC, Andy is CP, Jude is M, but nowhere on the box does it say what the heck that means, and nowhere even on the website underneath the shadow palette do I see details on the shadow formulas. In fact, I went on the Natasha Denona website and I clicked back through her recent launches, and the last palette that I saw that broke down the details of these formulas was actually the Glam Midi palette, which of course was quite a few releases ago. I think that was actually last year's holiday winter palette, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how you are supposed to know. It's not on here. It's not on the website under the palette. So that is just one thing that sort of irks me that I just wanted to notate, because like I said, the Glam palette is the last palette that I see that breaks down the formulas, and the palette that was launched before that is the bronze, and that one doesn't show the formulas at all. So I'm just not quite sure where Natasha is expecting people to understand her formulas. Let me know if I'm like missing something. Now, I will say that it does have a little section, a how to use section on the back of this box that says matte eyeshadows apply with fluffy eyeshadow brushes to blend or detail brushes for precision, and metallic / duochrome / crystal shadows apply with dense eyeshadow brushes for a subtle finish. For high payoff or foiled finish, apply with a damp eyeshadow brush or with the tip of your finger, which I think those things are fairly obvious. That is also what's in the like how to use section on the Natasha Denona website. But you don't know here. I mean, obviously you're going to know when you open the palette probably and like swatch these shades, like if it's a matte or a shimmer, but there just is no detail on the formula. And I fully intend to have timestamps on this video just so you could see what is most impactful for you on this video. But if you are interested in the details of the formulas, I'm going to read them off right now before I go through with the swatches, just in case you didn't know. So I'm getting this information off the Natasha Denona website in the description of the Glam palette because, like I said, that was the closest place that I could find this information. CP, richly pigmented wet powder formula that is easy to blend. CM, Natasha Denona's signature matte formula is creamy to the touch and seamlessly blends on the lid. CK, sparkling cream powder, finely milled pearls and crystals for a dazzling diamond-like sparkle effect. Sheer finish, can be used as a topper. M, metallics in multiple textures. Foiled, rich in texture, satin soft, finish metallic, sparkling, contains varying sizes of crushed mineral pearls for a dazzling effect. And DC Duochrome, shade shifting pearls with a metallic finish. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful to someone. Maybe it's not, maybe nobody cares, but I just find it a little bit irritating. You're gonna have formula notations, but not tell anyone what that means. Anyway, let's dive right into these swatches. All right, so I was going to like read off the shades and the way that Natasha Denona describes them, but really, if you want that, you can go to the Natasha Denona website and read Natasha's words. Like, I just feel like that's probably a waste of your time, but I just want to give you some first impressions of what I think after swatching these. First of all, I was very surprised by this shade here. This is the shade Jude, and I'm really excited by this one. It says it's a metallic warm taupe, but it really, to me, I mean, it has like a pinky, it's like a rosy taupe, and I really like that. Now, I'm just gonna say right now, I feel like already off the bat, I hate colors like this. I never need colors like this. Like, I've talked about this before, and I'm a fairly like light skin tone. I mean, I'm a little bit more dark than usual because it's early September, but like that's already like kind of unflatteringly light for me. So a lot of people won't be able to use this shade, and I feel like you didn't really need both of these. So that is one thing. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to lighten up a shade that's in this palette, you could mix this in, but these like chalky shades, just meh. I love this, of course, and of course, you know, I'm gonna love this like beautiful rose moment down here. So I mean, right now I already feel like, okay, there's gonna be one shade in this palette that almost never gets touched. So let's go ahead and see the last row. All right, so here we have the last row, and again, I'm sorry that I didn't pop all of these together. I was sort of like running out of space here, but I really do like this purpley shade, and I'm not really a huge purple lover. You probably know that if this is not your first time on my channel, but I do think that a couple of these shades really round off this palette nicely. I'm digging on this beautiful berry shade, and then this is probably one of my favorites in the palette. This is this gorgeous shade, Hello. Natasha describes this as a, let's see, a metallic taupe nude. I think Natasha and I have different versions of taupe because to me, this is more rosy than a taupe. It definitely is like a millennial pink meets chromey bronze. I don't even know. I'm just going to use all the words. Okay, just one more set of awkwardly placed swatches here. So I wanted to put the shades that were fairly similar side by side, or at least the ones that sort of look similar in the palette. So I talked about the two lighter mattes. I definitely feel like one of those could have been replaced in this palette. So here are those two quote unquote taupes. So this is Jude, that's that metallic warm taupe, and this one is that taupe warm nude. Okay. I mean, call it whatever you want, but I don't know. To me, this is quite rosy, and this is more of that like lavender taupe. I don't see warm, but whatever. So here we have Glitz and Psychedelic. So Glitz is more of that duochrome shimmer, and Psychedelic is definitely more of a topper. I didn't like super build this up, but I think I did do 2 passes of this, so it is much more sheer. Now here we have the 3 darkest mattes in this palette, and if I'm being picky, which if you know me, I am, I do feel like these 2 here should be a little bit more separate. Here we have Groove and Amara. I mean, I just feel like for a 15 pan palette, you could have 2 shades that are slightly more different. They are obviously, you know, different undertone. Amara is more cool, whereas the shade Groove is a little bit more of like, almost like a mahogany brown shade. The other thing is both of these are the creamy matte formula, so I think that you could have done like one of these as like the cream to powder, which is what this one is in the middle. This is Rebellion. They definitely are a different like formula. I like both of them, but I feel like these could be a little bit more different, but that's just me. Okay, so together again, here we are. I hope that you found that sort of helpful. Again, because I feel like I'm getting this video out so late compared to a lot of people whose palettes weren't like lost in the mail. I feel like you probably have already seen all the swatches, heard all the blah blah blah. Like, again, if you want to know like verbatim, you can go to the Natasha Denona website or watch one of the many other videos out there. So I figure if after like a week plus of this palette being launched, if you're still watching my video, you're actually curious about my thoughts. And so that's what I'm giving you here. I hope that it's helpful. So again, those are just my initial thoughts. I feel like there were a lot of them. Thank God for timestamps again, because I feel like this is quite a chatty video already. It also doesn't help that I'm trying to stay revved. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I really just wanted to get this video out. I really wanted to play with this palette, I'm not gonna lie, but I also just wanted to get this video out for you. So now we're just gonna go through and do a couple eye looks. This will probably be like a little music, a little speed through, maybe a little chit chat. We will see how this goes. I thought what I would do is do one look that's more like dramatic and one that is more like light and ethereal. You know my jam, that's how I do. I think it'll be fun to kind of like see the potential that this palette has, and you know, depending on your style of makeup, if you're someone that really likes high drama, or if you're someone that just likes, you know, a light wash of color, I thought that I would like try to do a little bit of both so that we can see if this palette suits you. All right, enough. Less of this, more of this. Be right back. I'm gonna start off and just do our little like light ethereal moment, and then I'll move on to a bit more drama. I do think that I'm probably just gonna like speed through this a bit since I've already been blabbing for a while, but if I have anything noteworthy to say, I will stop and let you know.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just
So, right off the bat, I have to say that this is giving me pinky taupey Glam palette vibes. Like if Glam palette had like pinky taupes in it. Anybody else? Like right away as I was putting on my mascara. And by the way, this is just a sample of the YSL, let's see, what is this? The Mascara Volume Effect Fossil. My Bite Beauty is like on its last leg, so I also have a hoard of mascara samples that I need to start using, so I thought that I would try this out. I'm still on the fence with this. I feel like I really have to work to like build this one up, but that's what I'm wearing. But immediately once I got mascara on, I was like, this reminds me a lot of like when I use the Glam palette to like just have something like more natural, but in a more like taupey pink vibe. So if this is your jam, like I think you'll enjoy this. So before I get to the other side, I am just going to share my thoughts initially. So the mattes all performed like beautifully, like I would normally think that they would. Again, I know that I've already said this, but I feel like some of these, once they're on the eye, I feel like they look the same. I did use, let's see if I can do this without blinding you. So I used this one, and this one, and can you tell that I used 3 different shades of mattes? I mean, I did like blend like a beast because that was really like, that was really what I was looking for, was something very blendy. So I started out with that nude mauve shade, and that definitely, it reminds me a lot of like the Glam Shop shade that I have actually, but like it comes off on the eye, and maybe it's just because my skin tone is more warm. So be aware of that also. Like your skin tone is going to make these shadows look a little bit different on you, but because my skin tone is a little bit more warm, this came off almost looking like taupey purple on my eye. And then I went through and blended that Vivian shade. So that's this like top like kind of pinky beige shade. I did that on the lid and then just like actually blew it out up and over the nude mauve, which I did actually later go back through into the crease, but I just like wanted to like soften it out a little bit more. It was fine. And then as you saw, I went through and wanted to try using that psychedelic topper shade with a glitter glue. So that was what was at the front. Even over a glitter glue, it was just kind of like so-so. So I did wet my brush to give a little bit more, and then I felt like I saw more impact. That Glitz shade, which is the duochrome, that one is the one that I laid out. I actually put it, I think, on like the outer 2/3 of my lid. It's very flaky. I will say both the psychedelic and Glitz shade, I did sort of have like little micro dust kind of all over the palette. So just be aware of that. Like when you go into the pan, you might get like friends scattered over to the other shades. And then I decided to go through with that Jude shade on the very outer edge. Do I feel like I have 3 shades on my eyelid? No, I don't. But I think that that's like the appeal of this. I think it like is really nice and blendy, and I definitely did blend it together quite a bit, but I am trying to use as many shades in this palette as I possibly can. And so to get that out of 2 eye looks, I'm just trying here. I'm layering. Oh, I did also use that Andy shade. This one in the pan, whoop, looks like more like mauve-y than nude mauve, which is kind of funny because like, I don't know if Natasha and I just have like different thoughts of shades, but to me, this is like more mauve-y. It's like a purpley mauve. This is not mauve to me. Whatever. Anyway, so I use the more purpley one, that Andy shade, underneath my lash line. And I did, again, bring a damp brush through to the front. So already, right now, I can say I wish that there was... I wish that they had taken this shade and replaced it with a light shimmer, maybe not even quite so like white light, but like a light shimmer shade to give me another option. Because right now, I love a really strong inner corner pop, and the only shade that I think I could do that with is that psychedelic topper shade. And that one has like a cooler toned flip to it, which I'm not always gonna want. And so I wish that there was something that was like a rosy champagne shade that is just like, in all honesty, kind of your like basic bitch inner corner shade. I can always just use whatever highlight I put on my face that day if I am using one. It's not a big deal, but this Glitz shade is just, for me, too like sparkly for an inner corner, and if you're more fair than me, it wouldn't be a great inner corner highlight anyway. So again, I wish I could just like pop Mod out of here and put something like in this realm, a little lighter than this, but shimmery in here. So those are my thoughts so far. I'm glad I'm splitting this up. So now let's go over here and create some drama.
Bright flashing by the street lights, keep waiting.
All right, here we have our more dramatic, more sultry side. I'm digging it. It took me a minute to get here, but I'm really digging it. So on this side, I did go through with one coat of that YSL mascara, but I did pull out the bite. I feel like for this, I definitely needed a little bit more to my lashes, and bite's what gives it to me every single time. Definitely gonna be a repurchase in my future. So back to the product that we're here to talk about, the Natasha Denona Retro Palette. So it's funny because I find that I do this a lot in my makeup. When I'm not quite sure where I'm going, I just go through and I like throw a transition shade down, and I almost always end up covering it up with other shades, which is exactly what I did. I put down Go-Go, and as you can see, like I ended up pushing this shape up past that, but I don't mind that because it's sort of like giving me a little room to like dip my toes in the water, and then I feel like laying down that lighter shade actually helps those darker shades just kind of like go over the top a little bit more smoothly. So speaking of smoothly, I did have a bit of an issue using this Groove shade. It did start skipping on this inner part right where like my almost 40-year-old skin starts to fold when I'm using a brush. So what I found that I was doing, and you guys probably saw that, so I started out using the Sonia G Mini Booster, and that's what I was applying that shade with, and then I was going through with the Refer 14 just dry and kind of like buffing that in. In fact, I can still see a little bit of this right here. Oh, that's gonna bother me. I almost like need to just like get in here. But anyway, as I'm trying to blend this little moment out, so then what I did on that same mini booster, I wiped that off on a towel, and then I was using that Amara shade. Now remember when we did the swatches earlier, I said like, I feel like these two are a little bit close to each other, but the Amara was just like a little bit more brown, and it's a little bit warmer and a little bit more brown, whereas that Groove shade, is it Groove? Yeah, Groove is like cooler. It's definitely got that more like mulberry tone. But I mean, on the eye, and granted I was sort of smudging them together, but on the eye they don't really have like a huge difference. This one is definitely cooler, but again, I wish they were just like a little bit further apart from each other. So then as I was going through, I did take a little bit of that shade, and more so to just see them compared like side by side, I worked that just right above where that Groove shade was. You could see a little bit of a difference. It definitely is a little bit warmer and more neutral, but then on top of that, even I took that Go-Go shade and just really like buffed that out. So that's what's here up towards the top of this shape. I mean, I love it. I just feel like it took a little bit of work, and that I do find sometimes if I'm not careful with these creamy mattes, I do find that sometimes because they are so creamy, I don't know how to explain that. Like I find that sometimes a drier shadow just like fluffs over your skin a little bit better, whereas sometimes with creams, if you're not careful, you can just kind of get that like little like skirt, and that's what happened to me. I was able to like, you know, really kind of like buff that out, but it did take a little bit of work. By the way, I did not use an eye primer. I just threw my concealer down. I didn't want to like change the way that these shadows were going to lay, so I just threw a little bit of concealer down. So other thoughts, I used that shade Hello, that one that I was going gaga over, this one here, on my entire lid. I definitely felt like I needed to use it on a damp brush. So first I went through with a dry brush, and then I went through with my dry finger, and then I went through with a damp brush. And I definitely felt like a damp brush is what sort of gave it the kick in the pants that I needed it to have to get that more like foiled look. And again, here is where like now after trying other brands, I just feel like Natasha Denona's like shimmers just are like one notch down from where I want them to be. Like after trying like Sydney Grace, for example, I think that Sydney Grace and even the Cleona round pans, they aren't quite as like creamy and emollient. I think that Natasha Denona has like a little bit more of that like emolliency. Is that a word? We're gonna run with it. But like I would say the Sydney Grace formula is definitely gonna give you like right off the bat, or like old school Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows. Those are my jam. So this I definitely have to wet. I know that for those shades to be able to get that like really like chromatic feel, I'm gonna need to wet those, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. I actually prefer to do that just because I like to do my face first and then my eyes, so I want to like minimize any fallout, so I usually wet my brush anyway. So then I went through with Swing. That's that like metallic purpley moment, and that is what I put on my lower lash line all the way through here, just to the front where I put that patty, that like almost like coppery rose right here and wrapped it around. So again, I was just trying to use like all the shades. I feel like I used every shade in here other than that mod shade, which really, like, I mean, I could if I really wanted to, but I don't want to. Like I told you, I'm probably not going to use that shade very much. Oh, and by the way, on this side, I did do a bit of push liner with that dark apart shade. I didn't happen to mention that. Now, the other shade that I used, again, more so just to be able to say that I used pretty much every shade in this palette, but also because I wanted to like add a little bit of depth. I did take that Rebellion shade, which is right here. Now, this is one of those cream to powder finishes, and this, I like these, but I do have to say, like, you have to be careful. You definitely really need a natural haired brush to be able to use these, because I find that if you aren't careful, A, they form a hard pan, but they also just have like, I don't know, they're not sheer. I mean, they're definitely like saturated, but they aren't quite as like, yeah, I'm gonna say it. They just aren't quite as saturated as the creamy mattes are, but they're really beautiful. They're matte, but they're like a satin matte, if that makes sense. Like, I don't even know if you can kind of see, if I can get my face to not be in the focus anymore. I don't know if you can see that that matte is, again, it's just more of like a satin creamy tone. So that's what I put on that very outer corner, and I do really like it. I mean, again, I was like layering it over the top of something, which always like makes the effect a bit different, but it is a bit more sheer. I want to see which ones in here are cream to powders. So again, now I was just looking to see, because again, they don't have the formula listed here. I wish they did. I wish it just had it right after it. I know it wouldn't be quite as like sexy looking, but the shade Opart is a cream to powder. So that's this shade here, this like darker charcoaly moment, and that's what I used to like do a bit of like push liner, if you will, at my lash line. And again, it's just a little bit more sheer than your typical matte. Creamy is all get out, but just slightly more sheer and satiny. So that is one thing to be aware of. All right, what I'm gonna do is go put on some lips now that I kind of know where this situation is, and I'll zoom you out and we can talk a little bit more about the palette. I feel put together now. Well, I feel a little two-faced, but I feel put together with a little bit of lip on. All I have on is one of these Too Faced lip injection lip glosses that I love. This is the shade Wifey for Lifey. I wish that I was getting this video up in time to tell you guys, by the way, these are the ones that I love that are half off in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale right now. You won't be able to see this because this video is going up after the sale is over, but I did talk about it in my Ulta 21 Days of Beauty video, so hopefully you watched that and you already know about the sale. By the way, if you didn't get to see that video, you should probably make sure that you're subscribed and you have your notification bell on so you don't miss out those future videos. Anyway, so let's talk about Natasha Denona. So this palette, I guess we should talk a little bit. I didn't really address the like drama of how this midi palette doesn't look anything like the mini. And I have to say, I'm not necessarily mad. Maybe I was a little disappointed because this is totally like a Kelly color story, but so is this. So maybe if I wasn't into deep berries, I would be a little bit more upset. I do really think that this is going to be beautiful, so I'm glad I got this one at a discount. But the midi, so I love a good berry tone. Like, I mean, here, because I pulled out those like deeper, darker berry tones, I think that this is very flattering personally for my eye color. It brings out the green in my eyes. I feel a little like a diva and I'm not mad at it. But I also think that this side is very soft and pretty, a little bit more angelic, a little bit more like everyday basic bitch in a good way. Now, obviously I had pros and cons that we talked about a little bit. I definitely think that there are a couple shades in this palette that could have been swapped out for other colors. Like I mentioned, this mod shade could have not been in here at all. I do understand that, like Natasha said, that she had this totally like retro mod vibe going on like thematically, and I get that, like, honestly this like chalky pink shade does sort of go with that vibe, but I just don't love it. Like, please tell me, if you are someone who really appreciates these hella light shades, let me know in the comments. Like, maybe I'm just missing out on this. I bet if you are very fair, you probably feel like this is gonna be helpful, especially because there are so many other dark shades. So if you are more like super fair, you probably enjoy that. That is the one thing. I wish this was gone and that was replaced with another inner corner option for me. I do really think that these deeper shades, like there needed to be something a little bit more different. Like, I mean, I was able to build this up to pretty dark, so I don't necessarily think that something needed to be darker. I don't know. I do just, again, feel like those shades, like, can you even tell that there's a difference between the shade that is here and the shade that is here? I feel like when they're built up, they just both look like deeper burgundy shades. It wasn't until I like put it like side by side that I could see that. So I guess maybe that is one thing, like putting this and then stacking this one like over it is going to help you be able to blend a little bit more easily if deep dark shades are a little like more difficult for you, so that transition will be really nice. Like if you took Groove and then Amara and then Go Go like I did here, it just really helps create that like blur. So I don't know, maybe that's what she was going for. But the other thing is, again, I mostly got this for the mattes. Like the shimmers are decent, they are pretty. If you like a good like nice shimmer, you will like this. I suggest wetting your brush. Don't even bother with a dry brush. I'm not gonna lie. So I will be curious to play with this a little bit more. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jude looks like on a wet brush because I did just use that dry. I definitely need to play with this a little bit more. And obviously, I told you this was just going to be a first impressions video. So my take on this. Obviously, I had a little bit of a rant in the beginning about the formulas and all that and how I feel like Natasha needs to be a little bit more clear on that. But other than that, I think that this palette is a good value. If you really feel like you like the tones in here, you feel use out of it, you're not looking for like super mega watt foil shimmers, I say go for it. However, I say wait for a sale. Either wait until the VIB sale through Sephora, or if you did want to get like a good deal with a bundle, Natasha has a couple bundles right now that include this palette on her website. I don't feel like for most people it needs to be a go get it now. I don't really feel like anything is a go get it now. Like, it's makeup, people. Let's like not get our panties in a bunch. But I love a good deal. I love a good deal. I love a good discount. And I feel like we all know sales are just around the corner. Like Black Friday is in a breath. So I say get a good deal on it, get a discount, use some points, do whatever you can to be able to snag this for a little bit cheaper. I'm glad that I have it in my collection. I know that I'm gonna love pulling it out this fall. Like this eye, yeah, I'm gonna wear this eye. And really, now that I like have experienced the formulas and the shades and everything, this look here would take me like 5 minutes. So I've got something that I can like sex up a little bit and something that I can just like sweep on and be out the door. So I'm not mad at all. I went out and spent my money right away to tell you that maybe you don't need to. Get a deal. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a like. It really does help me out. Like this video, like the videos of the content creators that you appreciate. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Really, the best way you can support content creators that you enjoy is to engage with our content. Like a video, drop a comment, say hi, give us your opinions, give us some feedback, let us know. It really does help. I really do appreciate that you take the time out of your day to spend it with me. I do really hope that you found this video helpful. Did you pick up this palette? Are you going to pick up this palette? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you really soon.